Hello and welcome to my 82nd, I believe, boxing prediction video. Yeah, let's go to the fights of the next weekend. Well, first of all, there is a good fight in England, in Manchester, I think, coming up, yeah, on Saturday. Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton. It's really the big featherweight fight of, this year, and one of the biggest British fights, of course, showdowns. It's Leeds versus Belfast, England versus Northern Ireland. Well, Warrington is undefeated, still at 27-0, and he's coming off a very impressive performance when he beat Lee Selby, who was the IBF champion. And so this is a defense of that belt, the first one for Warrington. Frampton, he's of course he's got one loss so far in a close fight to Leo Santa Cruz. Yeah. Well, this is a really hard fight, I think, to pick and predict. But I still think Lee Selby, he was struggling making the weight when he fought Warrington. It showed really, and so he wasn't fighting at his best, his usual self, So I think Josh Warrington is one of the best fighters in the division, definitely right now. But I believe Carl Frampton is still at least a little better, and even though he's fighting, he's not from England, he's still a pretty big star everywhere in UK, so that should not go against him. I mean, if the fight will very likely go to the scorecards, I think so, unless there is gonna be some kind of injury or cut. So I think Frampton will win in the end because he's just a better boxer, I think, technically. I mean, Warrington is more like a pressure fighter who uses speed and constant attack to bully his opponents and all that. He's not a puncher, really. He did stop this guy, Dennis Salih, but that was a late stoppage, accumulation stoppage. So, but neither is Frampton, not at this weight anyway. Frampton is not a puncher, not a very hard one. So, my prediction is a majority decision. I think it will be very close, but Frampton will, I expect, do enough to win. But most likely, in England they are known for having many controversial and funny decisions. So I think at least one judge will not be on Frampton's side anyway. So a majority decision for Carl Frampton over Josh Warrington. And then there is also on the same card, I believe, Martin Murray fighting Hassan Najikam. Yeah, both guys are. Murray is the older man, but Najikam he suffered his worst loss in his last fight against Ryota Murata when he was stopped after 7 rounds. He retired in his corner and he got a beating. It was a very one-sided fight, surprisingly one-sided. Yeah, Murray is also not really a very hard puncher, but he is a good, strong, tough fighter who can box, I guess, and he brings the pressure and all that. He's a rather big middleweight, but I guess so is Najikam. And well, I don't think Murray will stop the Jikam, even though that is possible. It depends how much he has been damaged, and how far past his peak he is, and his prime, and so how far past both guys are actually past their prime. I think the safest is to bet on a decision victory for Murray. So I think it will be unanimous, most likely. And then Dillian White versus Dereck Chisora. Yeah, that's a rather tricky one actually to fight to pick. Even though most people think White is the clear favorite. I don't agree with that really. I think Dillian White has been sold as something that he's not really, as a world class heavyweight. I don't think he is really. He's just a decent heavyweight who has enough power, and he has learned enough about boxing to make it difficult for most guys who fight today. I mean, but yeah, he can take a punch, but he has been also knocked out brutally by Joshua. And Chisora, in their first fight, I had actually Chisora winning, by a couple points, I remember. So, he also was able to hurt, I think, White, more than White was able to hurt him. So, I don't know really. Chisora pulled off a really, really surprising upset in his last fight when he knocked out Carlos Takam, who we know is a very tough guy, has only been stopped twice in 10th round, both times, by Povetkin and Joshua. And Povetkin was then, most likely, juicing. So that almost doesn't count. That knockout loss. And the Joshua loss was, it shouldn't have been really stopped yet. I mean, I thought. But anyway, White just happened to hit him in the right place on the temple, and that's all it took. So I think this will be another hard competitive fight, and I actually lean towards Chisora here, but it depends if he will have enough left in the tank, because last time it was in the 11th or 12th, I don't remember, round, he really had White hurt, and but then it was too late. He ran out of gas and all that. So maybe now he can. I actually have him winning by a 12th round TKO, Chisora. And he's been stopped twice, of course, but it's only been the hardest punchers like Hay that have. He's the only guy who was able to really knock him out. Fury just kind of punished him until he quit. So that's not the same thing. Chisora was in a bad shape in that fight. So anyway. So I would be surprised if Dillian White, managed to really knock him out, with a punch or a few punches. So yeah, that's my prediction: Chisora wins by 12th round TKO. And then, yeah, Christopher Rosales is fighting Charlie Edwards also, and that's. I think Rosales will have to almost win on by a knockout, because we know how hard it can be for foreign fighters to get a decision over a home favorite in UK. It's really, it can be hard. Not as hard as it was in Germany or USA now, but still, Charlie Edwards has only 14 fights. He's been stopped once by John Real Casimero. Rosales has 3 losses, but they are all, to top opponents, and he's coming off a KO victory. I don't remember who. So anyway, I think he will win by a knockout in the 7th round. Because I think he is capable of doing that. He's got a mean punch to the body, left hook to the body, and yeah. And then finally, Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison. Yeah, Charlo is undefeated, 31-0, and Tony Harrison isn't. He's got 2 losses, 27 victories. But Tony Harrison is a capable fighter, but he seems to just fade kind of late, and both times he was stopped in the 9th round by Willie Nelson and by Jared Hurdle. So yeah, he's got power, of course, and he stopped Sergey Rabchenko and a couple of other decent fighters. So but Charlo has been, of course, he suddenly started scoring knockouts, and he never did that so much earlier, and I suspect he may be, on something illegal or whatever. But anyway, I kind of think he will have to go the distance this time, because these guys that stopped Harrison, they were bigger and than Charlo and harder hitters, and Tony Harrison has a height advantage, 3 inches, I believe, and he didn't have against Hurd or Nelson, so that also plays a difference, role. So I think Jermell will win simply on points. Yeah. Okay, that was all for this time. I didn't want to make this video too long, so bye bye until next time. See you.